Hey, and what's up? Episode 23 coming at you hot. It's me doing apparently a bunch of movie reviews. I kind of just watched a bunch of movies. I talked a lot about them. A lot about Blade Runner, which I know I shit on a lot in this. I sound like I really don't like it, but I did like it. It was good. It just I feel bad that I'm being so hard on it, but I can't stop myself from when I love something to not be super hard on it. If I love it, I want it to be good. And so I'm going to be harder on something that's a 7 than I would be on something that's a 4. It's damn, you're so close being fucking really, really good. Let's fucking what can I do to help you become better? What did I dislike that could have helped you be even stronger of a movie? So yeah, I did like it. I feel like I may have berated that one too much, but I'll fucking talk some mad shit about Pokemon Sun and Moon. It's one of the worst games released last year because I fucking love Pokemon so much and it was such a bad version of that game. Hopefully Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon fix things. I doubt it. It's the same engine, and I feel like there's a couple engine things that I wasn't a huge fan of, something as simple as pushing A to open a door. I could do without. But structurally that game changed a lot. I don't know why I'm talking about Pokemon. That's a whole different thing, but I have I love these things and I want them to be the best. So, yeah, it was a good episode. It's me kind of talking about a lot of movies. Talked about Rick and Morty a bit because that's a thing I'm starting up again. Being a fucking I don't remember how fucking aggressive I was in this on this show about how much I had a disdain for the fan base. So I'm not sure if I feel I seem like a total flip flop and hypocrite, but it's not the show's fault. I had a problem with more of the fan base that I was not was pushing me away from finishing it. Or not finishing it, just catching up. Oh, there's my phone. Being loud, obnoxious. Yeah, so I don't know. It's good. It's a good show, though. I'm enjoying it. So I'm going to stop now. Let you have the show. Let you enjoy the show. And I hope you have good times. Episode 24 should be coming out reasonably soon. I talked about a little bit at the end here, but that's fully recorded as the time of me recording this intro, so that'll come out eventually, in the next few days. So that hasn't been super long though. It's well over 2.5 hours, I think, depending on what I end up adjusting and going through and stuff like that. So I have to listen back, see what it is, so we'll see where that actual ends up landing. I don't know how much pausing there was, or there's a lot of in the moment, so it's hard to say until I actually go back and listen to it. So all right, with that, I will leave you. Enjoy the show. Hey, and welcome to your Brandon Tom, episode 23, I think. I don't remember. Here again, talking to you, fine folks. It's been a bit. No real excuse, really. Just kind of fucking been trying to plan a guest and then waiting on them, and I think it was just fucking that trailer I also made for that Smash tournament. You can see that on the YouTube channel, which I think most people that listen to this use that anyway, so it's all over there. Yeah, I just want to, I got things, and it's all October, so I want to start watching more horror movies and stuff, because I was a big scaredy baby for a long time when I was younger, so I never watched anything growing up, and now I'm a big scaredy man, and the big scaredy man wants to watch more spooky stuff, and so I watched I didn't watch a couple, I just watched one. I watched It Follows, which I'll get into, but for now, right now, we're gonna skip this Spooktober little event here, where for the rest of October, I think I'll just start watching horror movies that I didn't watch, and I'll catch up on that. But I just immediately got back from Blade Runner 2049, and I'm kind of want to live unpack that right now. And so, I guess background would be that I watched the first Blade Runner in high school. I watched the director's cut, which means something to people that watch it. It's the second version of it. I think, I don't know any major changes. I just know it primarily took out the voiceover that Harrison Ford does in the theatrical version. They removed that part, and it's just kind of it's a lot more quiet because of that. And I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed the movie a lot when I was in high school. I wasn't like a huge fan. I wasn't like won over by it. I thought it was kind of neat. And then kind of went on, and I was talking to my cross country coach the next day after I watched it, and he was the first person to be like, "Oh, so did you think that Deckard was a replicant?" And I was like, "What the fuck? How did anyone get that?" And so for years I've never really looked into it, but aside from seeing a Ridley Scott interview where he's like, "Oh yeah, he's totally a replicant," but so with 2049 coming out, I figured I'd rewatch that movie. I watched the final cut this time, which is I guess the definitive version or whatever. I'm not sure. Again, not totally sure what they added. It's been a few years, like I said, so I'm not entirely sure what. I mean, that was probably 2010 when I watched that, so it's been a long time. It was like 2010, 2011, somewhere in that range. But yeah, I didn't. I figured I'd watch that, and I watched the 3 shorts that companion with 2049, and rewatching Blade Runner, the original. Huge fan now. Way more into that movie than I thought I would ever been. Still don't understand how anyone thinks he's a replicant, like, at all. I've never looked into the theory as to why, and the only thing I really have to support it would be Ridley Scott's straight up saying it, but it really feels like a post-production thing. Like, they finished the movie, heard the theory, and yeah, sure, let's go with that when people ask. But I don't understand how you can get that from that movie. I don't really get it. Every replicant creature, when light would hit their eyes, they'd have a little orange glow to them, the little squares, and it's that never happens with him, and there's no indication that he would do that. Why would he want to have sex with Rachel if he's a replicant? What benefit would that serve on a robot that would, it's not up to her to do that? She wouldn't want, if someone would request sex, she would do it, but why would he be the instigator and kind of rape her or whatever? That scene is really weird and kind of dated. But yeah, I don't really I still don't understand how anyone could think that. It doesn't make any sense. It just really feels like something that a couple people thought, and then they were just yeah, sure, let's go with that. And it doesn't actually seem like it's grounded in anything, which is really weird. But I definitely like the movie as a whole, ignoring that crazy fan theory that apparently has just become the norm. So I guess it just kind of falls in line with my theory and fan theories that they're all horrible garbage and they should just never be said out loud. But I just really enjoyed the movie a lot. It was a lot of fun watching that one again. The whole scene with Tyrell and his house bedroom thing with Roy, and it's kind of I guess supposed to be really symbolic of meeting God and meeting your maker and all this shit. And then there's the whole chess conversation, which I bet has tons of symbolism, but I have to rewatch it a couple more times to figure out exactly what that symbolism was and what that meant and why that, but that whole conversation and, him meeting his maker and being I want to live more and all this stuff. And then, oh, you can't do that. And here's the reasons. The whole room is covered in a gold, color tint to it, and golden white. He's wearing all white, I believe. So it's very, very symbolic of being in heaven and interacting with this weird metaphysical religious thing of what does it mean to actually be a person, and then all this shit, which is kind of just the whole thing of Blade Runner of what it is it to be a person, which I thought was pretty cool. That was really, really neat. Really enjoyed just the way it flowed. The fucking and I don't know if it's because they lose the voiceover in the more recent releases of it, but the amount of silence and just atmosphere and him walking around the city of LA and doing some stuff, just kind of going to get food or buy alcohol. Dude drinks a lot. Oh my God. He's pounding drinks all day long in that first movie. It's so crazy. But yeah, it's really cool how it's just super calm, super quiet, atmospheric. The lighting, huge fan of the lighting. I don't know if I ever mentioned it on this show, but I saw someone talking about, because I'm really into German Expressionism as a film movement. I think it's a very cool era in film. It's the 20s, early 30s. Nosferatu, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Metropolis. These are kind of movies that fall into that category. And things like Batman the Animated Series, a lot of Tim Burton's work, Blade Runner. These things really take from that movement, which is a lot of heavy shadows, extorted shadows and light, very dramatic shaped, just shapes, very angular. Batman the Animated Series, a lot of the shots of the city, they come from that. Like that is a very reminiscent of like what a metropolis kind of does with their cities. Or Dr. Caligari is a little more dramatic. But like the intense black shadows and stuff like that. Very interesting. Like Tim Burton used that to design the Batman series, which I think is what inspired the Batman Animated Series. That came later. So I think, yeah, so the design of Gotham in the two Tim Burton movies plays it directly affected the look of the Batman Animated Series, but other things he's done too. Edward Scissorhands actually does that really well. There's a lot of very, just right down to Edward looking like the character from Dr. Caligari that I don't remember his name, but like he's the main character. He looks very similar. Very pale face, long limbs, black wild hair, wearing that kind of stuff. So like and Blade Runner's got a lot of that too, with a lot of the lighting. And a couple times near the end, when they're like fighting on the rooftops, we see these big towering, weirdly shaped buildings and stuff, and the blue light, because we're in color, so we're allowed more. You're in color, so you use color. So they have these long blue lights coming through, usually blinds or some fan is in front of it, so it's constantly cutting the light and it's blocking it for a second, and it comes in waves and flashes by constantly, or like you're in a room and it's just kind of filtered light of some form, but it's like a long beams of light in a very dark room, and that kind of look really plays into the whole aesthetic of Blade Runner. Really do like the cross culture thing going on with, I guess, Japanese like influence. I don't know if he's just like in a Chinatown of LA or something, or Japantown of LA, whatever that language was. I think it was Japanese. It's Japanese. It's definitely Japanese in the second one. I'm just not sure if it is 100% Japanese in that one, the original. But I do like how that kind of had that. So I don't know if that's like supposed to be all of LA. He a few times it seems like he doesn't travel very far in that movie. He's very much like in his space, because I think we passed by a couple places that they go to a few times. But yeah, I just really big fan of the original one now. I liked it the first time, and way more into it this time around. I feel like it just did a lot of really cool things, and it really leaves a lot for rewatching and really studying. Like I could probably write a few, like if I was in college still doing papers on movies, like pretty much when I was in college, all I ever did was write about Star Wars or Clerks. Like I just wrote about these movies all the time because I knew them very well, and it was very easy for me to just kind of like pick apart what they were doing and all that stuff. Star Wars has a lot more, but I feel like Blade Runner would have been even better. There's just so much there. The only real criticism I would ever have of that was the mix is weird. Like a lot of times when they're showing establishing or sweeping shots of LA, there's a huge fucking bang. There's just this gigantic noise that is just like I don't know what it is. It's like always these crazy loud noises with like a musical track underneath, so it's very loud. I guess it's kind of supposed to like reminisce, like kind of represent a city, the activeness of a city, but it's very loud, and there's a lot of background noise too, people talking, stuff going on. So sometimes when they're talking, you can't necessarily hear what they're saying. It's a very cool effect. Like when he's in the police station, before he closes the door, it's really hard to hear the two talking because there's just a bunch of shit going on in the background, and they close the door and you can finally hear them. It's not cut like a modern movie would be, where once there's people talking, fucking everything goes quiet and it's just the talking as the focus. It's much more like what is that term, diegetic, where the shit's in real life, like the shit in the movie is like in their life, so it's kind of like we're just looking in on their life. We're not seeing like an omniscient view of their life or whatever. I don't think that term actually applies to this, what I'm saying, but similar idea. I think it's more about music in a movie. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that whole thing. I did have to put subtitles on, which did fix that problem. But then I watched the shorts, because I was kind of doing everything in chronological order. So I watched the anime short by Watanabe, the guy who did behind Cowboy Bebop. Pretty cool. A little too short. Would have enjoyed it being a little bit longer. To be fair, I mean, a lot of these shorts, except for the Jared Leto one, they don't really do anything crazy. They talk about the blackout a few times in the new movie, so that's what the event of the anime short is, the blackout, and it's showing what that meant and how that happened. I would have liked it to be a bit longer because it was really well done. Cool action scenes, all that shit. Cool, just short, kind of like here's this thing that happened. We're going to show you what that means. The second one is the Jared Leto one, where it is, what the fuck is his name? Wallace. So the Wallace company takes over for the Tyrell company, and they start manufacturing the replicants. Side note, I don't understand the point of a Blade Runner when replicants only can live for 4 years. Most of them just want to get away. Sure, you can say like, oh, they kill a bunch of people and they're terrorists and you're getting rid of them, but like, especially the bad guys in the first movie, like they only kill to survive. So they kill to stop becoming slaves, and then they go into hiding. Like, what is the point of it? They're gonna die in a few years, especially the ones that they're going after, which also weird. All of them were born in the past of current day. Like the most recent one of the 4 main like antagonist replicants was born on April 10th, 2017, which is super weird. So like that's just weird that we're entering a time where we're going to actually be in the same time as sci-fi movies. We're like depicting the future, but we're just there. It's super strange. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so Wallace Company comes in, redoes replicants. Somewhere between 2019 and 2022, replicants stop living for 4 years, which seems like an absurd idea. And they're like, oh, they can just have normal lifespans. Seems crazy. Like, they're clearly causing problems for people, and they don't like having them. So why not just have this one failsafe that's like they just die in 4 years? Perfect. I have no idea why they get rid of that. Because then once that happens, yeah, now you need Blade Runners. Now it makes sense to go fucking murder these things. Because, like, if they are threats, they're going to live forever. Like, maybe. But, like, when they're living for 4 years, and the one you're going after will die in, like, a matter of months, you can wait it out. Like, you're risking damage for the sake of damage. I don't understand. Like, it's just, like, a weird thing. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so the Wallace Company comes in, shows, like, perfect obedient replicants, blah, 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 blah. It's also a short, so it's not very long, but it's Jared Leto being actually pretty interesting. As the whole arc of this new story has gone over, I think Jared Leto is actually not great for the part he's trying to pull off. I don't really understand why. So I'll get into it in a second. But yeah, pretty cool. Just kind of seeing Jared Leto being like weird and mysterious. That one has the most like implication to the actual 2049 story. Because you meet this character who's kind of the villain of this whole thing. And the last one is with Batista, totally skippable. Who gives a shit? What a waste of time. Nothing in that matters. Now, besides the fact that you know who Dave Batista is in this movie, and that he's a replicant, whoop-de-fucking-do. Like, that's all you're figuring out. Like, oh, hey, it's the guy from that short that took place a year before this movie started. And unless you want to see Batista fight someone real quick, like, it's irrelevant. It's totally, like, doesn't do anything. It felt like the shortest one, too. It's like, Batista's, like, trying to make money. He kind of makes money. He then gets in a fight and kills a bunch of people, and the people he was kind of friends with were like, oh no, he's scary. And then it ends. Fucking wow. Who cares? But then everything leads into 2049, which I'm going to try to avoid, like, actual, like, the story spoilers and stuff. Just to say, without being specific, I don't think the story was good. This movie is far more heavy reliant on dialogue and, like, a story, which it's so long. Oh my god, it's like 2.5, 2:45 long, like hours. It's so long. It's so long. Like, the first Blade Runner is barely 2 hours. So it just went on forever. But it's way more dialogue based. It's way more story focused. Right down to literally having a character. He has like this hologram girlfriend, wife character. Ryan Gosling does, and she's only there to explain what's happening. She's only there to lead the audience down the path that the film is trying to go in. And I should just say, like, I really like Denis Villeneuve's work. Arrival, thought it was a dope ass fucking movie. The movie's fucking great. One of the best movies of last year. He also made Prisoners enemy in Sicario. Check my math on that one. I don't know if that's correct. If it is, I don't know why I know this fucking random guy's fucking IMDb page, but I think those are his other movies. But yeah, I really like The Rival. I think he's a really good director. I think it's very good. I really want to see him do more sci-fi. I just am starting to think that maybe he should not have been doing, maybe he shouldn't have done someone else's thing. He should have he should have gone off on his own. He should have maybe done something more unique. Oop, jeez. It just, it felt weird. It didn't feel like a thing that it just felt odd. I don't know. Like yeah, okay, I am right. It's so crazy. How do I know what this guy's done? I've only seen one of his movies. Yeah, so it like Arrival, although based on a book, you could kind of feel there was nothing to compare it to. You know, like that this has something to compare it to, and it's very much a new movie, whereas you're watching the original Blade Runner, and it's like very clearly an 80s movie. Like there's a story going on, but it's really it feels like it's really trying to ask like philosophical questions of like, what is it to be a person, all this shit or whatever. Whereas in this one, it's more trying to just get from point A to point B, trying to tell the story. It's trying to, lead you down a path. There's no real ambiguity about like what things are happening, who is what. Like, I don't really know if you could have the argument that like, is Deckard a replicant? Because like the fucking, like they're just, also he's like lived for 30 years. So again, I don't know how you can still have this theory that he would be a replicant. Like he's in this movie just 30 years later. I don't know. I don't know how that theory stands. I really like still don't understand. Like the only thing holding me up from being like, this is complete nonsense is that Ridley Scott literally was like in an interview, like, yeah, totally. So I really have no idea. It personally feels like a complete farce to be like, actually think that. It just seems so crazy that you'd be like, oh yeah, this is totally real. I don't know. What was I saying? Yeah, so it just feels like this movie is far more designed to be a modern movie. Like I said, this wife character basically plays the role of what everyone complains about with this voiceover from the original of we have Deckard explaining his actions, explaining his motivations, explaining what's happening. Okay. But that's not what Blade Runner is. If every supplicant version of that has removed that and has kept that out and kept the silence and the brooding and the atmosphere, that seems more important than what is directly happening. And she's just kind of explaining stuff so that you are on, like, basically they want to railroad this experience. There's no getting lost. There's no wondering about, it's like this is the path we want you to think. We want you to think like this, and then we can subvert an expectation or something. It's trying to create a twist that doesn't have to. Now, how do I want to word this? It's trying to create a twist by explicitly telling you information to make you go, whoa, but like really it's not genuine. It's kind of artificial. It's like an artificial twist, and you can see them laying pieces out so that you are going to think down this path, and then they can throw you with the, like, oh, here's truth. And you're like, you didn't make it clear in any way that and then they do the bullshit that a lot of modern movies do where they do a big reveal and they go into flashbacks of like, oh, remember when we said this and this and this? That's when we gave you the clues, but we red herrings you. It's like, I hate that. I hate when they do that. I hate when movies do that, and like they're making things arbitrarily cryptic so that you don't pick up on those, because once those scenes started showing up, we had already been laid down. We had groundwork laid down of this is truth, this is it, this is it, this is it. And like they make it so clear. Like in the very beginning, they show you this reveal. You're like, okay. Like before Act 1 is even remotely over. We're like halfway through Act 1, and then we're given this like, if you're paying attention, it's like a reveal, but like the characters don't really figure it out until about the end of Act 1. And by the end of Act 1, they're like, oh my God, this is fact. But like between the initial note of like, this is the twist for the end of Act 1 to the end of Act 1, they are pumping you with this idea, over and over again. This is the truth. This is how it is. This is how it is. To then have a character blatantly explain, this is what just happened in Act 1. Like, the character sums up, this hologram woman sums up Act 1. Just word for word, just goes, this is what happened, this is this. Then we proceed into Act 2 and 3 with this expectation, because you spent an hour beating me over the head with this, and then, like, when you pull the rug from under us, you're like, ha, look at you there, you got fooled. It's like, no, you just, like, you faked it. Like, if you wanted to have, like, a real reveal, you could have been, like, instead of, like, it would have been better if they didn't explicitly try to explain things. And they kind of left it open of, like, all right, is he not? Is this right? Is that right? What's going on? Like, or, like, throw, like, a few, like, it's, I don't know. It's super weird. It just it wasn't really, like, a good structure in that way. I didn't think that was interesting. Because then, like, they pull the reveal of, like, the actual truth. And then, like, when the actual truth hits, like, in the last half hour, you're like, is that, though? Because I don't know. Like, you've spent so much of this movie telling me the opposite. Then be like, well, actually, it's like, but I don't. And then they end it without, like, solid proof. You know, all we have is the word of another, like, this other character's like, no, why would you think that? It's this instead. And, like it's so many things. Like, characters only exist just to basically explain to Ryan Gosling's character what's going on. So he's solving this mystery, this is fun. And then a fucking character comes in and goes, here is a summary of everything that has happened. Point for fucking point. Now we're going to go through Act 2, and right at the end of Act 2, boom, we're going to meet this other character. Here is what actually is happening. I'm going to tell you the opposite of the thing you were led to believe for 2 acts now. We go into Act 3, and then the thing ends before we get, like, what was the truth. And that's not, like, a cool, like, oh, I wonder what it could be. It's more like, okay, like, there was one thing that makes me believe what the second person said anyway. Like, one character just looks a certain way when they, in, like, this flashback scene, while everyone else kind of looks this other way, and I was like, that's weird. Why does this character have this attribute over these other characters in this mob? Like, it's just like, it's like a flashback to a youth, and it's like, here's this one character, and they have hair, and the rest of them are bald. And I was like, that's weird. Why does he have hair? And then we moved on, and then something happens, and you're like, oh, I guess. But, like, we were totally at that place earlier than this scene, and everyone was bald, regardless of certain things. It's super weird. They just did a few things where it was like, I guess, but I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I felt like it was Blade Runner 2049 is the Uncharted of movies. No matter what you do, no matter how you think, the outcome is the same. You can't subvert anything. It is a point for point, beat for beat, structured story that you can't get away from. You can't have a dramatically different experience than someone else. You can kind of. This is no Final Fantasy 13 where everyone's experience is identical. You can still maybe, you might not pick up on the first clues until the end of Act 1 where it is explained to you, just so you're caught up. Like, that's what it feels like, is like, it's almost Shakespearean in that way, where Shakespeare would occasionally, I think at the beginning of acts primarily, would have summaries of what was happening in case you came late. But that's not what we do anymore in a movie, so we don't need that. And movies are super short anyway, so, like, we don't need that. But it would do that, and it was like, even if you are gonna catch up with the characters, with the movie later, you're not gonna catch up in time. And then, but there's always that character. It's gonna be like, all right, let's stop for a second. Let me explain to you what's happening. And that's really, it feels really stupid that, like, you could possibly do that. I don't know. I mean, there were good things. Ryan Gosling is great. I mean, he's always great and everything. He's just such a good actor. One thing I really, really liked that was super subtle, and I thought was also a really nice touch for him, is he's making out with his holographic girlfriend, and he has some serious hover hand because she's not fucking real. She's not really fucking there. So instead of, like, the actress that was there, and then they put in the effect over her to make her kind of invisible. He like hovered her hand around her because he wouldn't be able to touch her, so he wouldn't actually be able to gauge like how close he was when his eyes were closed and they're making out or whatever. I thought that was a really nice touch. I don't know who was that, whose idea that was. Was it Villeneuve, or was it him? I don't know whose decision it was, but whoever it was, fucking kudos on you. That was a good decision. Visually, I don't think it nailed that enough of that expressionism that I really like. I really feel like it should fall. Blade Runner should fall and lean heavily into noir and like German expressionism. It should really fall and lean into those I guess tropes or aesthetic looks. It should really lean into those hard blue lights. And the one thing I really did like is once he meets Deckard, he goes into a room where that is the case. It is black with hard like blue lights, and like the room, and it's not like one big blue light, it's blue sliced light. It's like very like spotlights and stuff like that, and like the lights are like panning across the room and stuff, and like it was a nice touch to be like, okay, this is like a Deckard aesthetic, where once you're with that, you know, you get these cool blue lights and stuff like that. I thought was really cool. It was interesting aesthetic. Like a lot of the cool imagery is shown in the trailer. The cool like shots of him walking through the desert with the two statues, or him driving through the Atari signs and stuff like that. Him meeting the giant pink woman. Those scenes are all the cool ones are in the trailer. I didn't feel like there was anyone I saw where I was like, wow, that's really visually appealing. It was a lot of just standard kind of lame shots. Like it wasn't really anything interesting. It didn't do anything crazy. Like in his apartment, he has a table that's very centered in the room, and he's staring. It faces the window, and the window is very square. And like if someone like a Wes Anderson had that would have been utilized. The fact that the way this table, perfectly square table, square in the middle of the room, is sitting straight down this middle of this rectangle square window. I mean, you could have really done a lot with that. I mean, depending on how much depth you go with the camera, you could have shown some kind of loneliness or emptiness. You could have done anything with like the lighting. You could have had the whole room dark, and the only thing lighting the room was just the cars and the billboards. One thing I did like about this one is all the billboards in this one, not all of them, but most of the billboards in this one were projected. I thought that was a really cool thing. Where it wasn't an identical version of LA from 2019, it was an LA of 2049, so it was a little different. A lot of the ads were the same though, which I thought was interesting and weird. Like there's still a Pan Am ad, there was still a Coca-Cola ad, there was still, what else was there? I don't remember. Those two stuck out. I remember seeing those two. So that was really cool. Not Tyrell. The Wallace Corporation's building were pretty cool. Again, heavy in the gold lighting, because it is the place where the replicants are born, and there, so the corporation kind of takes the place of God. It almost doesn't really benefit the story at all that there's an identical corporation with a different name. Like he literally just buys the Tyrell Corporation and then just takes on with the Wallace Corporation. It's fiction, like lore wise, it makes sense that like, okay, fuck replicants. After the blackout, we're done. Fucking Tyrell's going bankrupt, and another guy comes in and is like, I'll redo this. I'm gonna do the same thing, but they're gonna obey this time. And they're like, sure, man. So that's weird. Jared Leto was interesting. He leans a little too hard into the God complex of the whole thing. Like Tyrell, he was God to the replicants, but he was a scientist. So he was a scientist talking to these robots that he created, but the robots would talk to him like they were talking to God, and they'd be like, how do I do this? They'd ask him these questions, and he'd have scientific answers. Whereas besides Love, I don't really think any replicant really talked to Wallace. I don't really think anyone really talked to him, and so he just kind of lectured and preached like a god, or like what a person would think a god was, to these other people. So it was weird. It was like kind of forced, and like he was trying to put on this show when he didn't really need to do that, and that was super weird. He did have this cool, like, because he's blind, so he has like this little chip thing behind his ear that he can replace, and he's got like 7 of them. Like Love pulls out this little container thing, and there's like 7 of them. He only uses 1, which was he puts it in, and he can control these little drones that can like see for him and shit, which is really cool. I just wish we kind of got to see what a couple of the other ones did. Not much more with that, I guess. Besides the fact he does have one part where he talks to Deckard, where everyone is mumbling. So I potentially missed something that may have leaned Deckard one way or the other into being a replicant. Like he has a thing where he says something to the effect of, when you saw her for the first time, it was as if you were designed to meet her and do this thing, whatever. Rachel from the first movie. But then he says something like, but you weren't designed or something. So like, it's like, I don't know if he was just trying to allude to the fact that like the events that led to right now, they had to happen. Like, it's just some kind of crazy destiny God conversation. I think he was just like being super pretentious. And that's kind of why I think Tyrell is better, because he's just a person who happens to also be playing God in a way. And so when they have their conversation, it's got a different tone. It literally that actually felt like a really interesting way. Like I could probably do a paper on that scene alone. Like the fucking down to the chess game, the pieces that are used. It's like queen gets taken by knight, and then something checkmates the king, and like I think that's all a metaphor for what's about to happen, and that's with Roy killing Tyrell and all this shit. Like the way the whole thing played out, and like the conversation, the lighting of the room, the outfits that they're wearing, the whole thing was so well designed, and it's so well acted that it actually feels like this it literally felt like someone had met God, but like God wasn't this crazy special thing. He's just like, they're asking these questions like, why can't I live longer? Why can't I do this? And he gives a scientific answer. He's like, well, once the fucking DNA has been implemented and started up, and it can't be changed, or else there's this virus starts up. And he goes, but what about this? He goes, well, we tried that too, and it creates another virus. And like he asks like the questions of like, I don't know. He's asking questions relating to his existence, and then Tyrell was just like, well, we try to experiment with that. Like, it was like a very interesting conversation. So then ultimately end up with him fucking Oberning his head, just crushing his head in, which is a pretty dope scene, and still look pretty cool even to this day. Yeah, it was, I don't know if it really lives up to the whole fucking, mantle of it. And I feel like if I had gone in, like if I just didn't decide to rewatch Blade Runner, and I just went in, maybe watching the shorts. Of course, I'd watch the shorts because I'm crazy and I have to watch everything before I do anything. But had I just accepted, I've seen Blade Runner, let's see these shorts and move in, I think I would have thought it was way better. But since having ingested everything to do with Blade Runner in the last 24 hours, I don't know. I don't feel like I can say it's that good. I don't know. I think it just kind of falls a little flat as a sequel because of the things that the subtlety and the nuance of the original Blade Runner, I don't think, and clearly, I don't think that had anything to do with Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott hasn't done anything of great note, like, in a long time, and if he's sitting there talking about, like, oh yeah, Deckard's a replicant, I really don't think I feel like he might even miss his own, I don't know, maybe I'm missing a big clue as to why Deckard's a replicant, but like it just feels wrong that would be the case, I don't know. But it just doesn't feel like he totally got what he was doing. Almost like a Lucas, where it's like you just don't understand what Star Wars is, at least to me. You just kind of missed the boat when you tried to rekindle that magic. So, I don't know. I just think it was, just didn't hold up. 2049, not as good. Not bad. And if you really don't care about the original Blade Runner, you're probably going to like it a lot more. Because it's a lot more in tune with like a modern movie. But I don't think I need to have... I think I would rather just... Like, I almost literally, when I'm done recording this, I might put on the beginning of the original Blade Runner again and just kind of see if there's anything else I can catch up. Because I really do want to understand this fucking replicant theory. I just don't see any piece lining up. And I'm wondering if I missed a piece. Like, maybe there is a shot where his eyes glimmer with that orange square. Maybe it happened and I just missed it. I don't know. I mean, it happens to everything, literally down to the fucking owl that's in Tyrell's office. Like, everything it happens to. So, like, how do we believe that he? I don't know. Maybe I should just watch some fucking video essay or something on YouTube and just try to get someone to explain it to me. But I feel like it's just going to upset me, like most fan theories do. Like, oh god, some of the Pokemon ones drive me insane. But fucking, who cares? I'm not getting into that right now. Fucking, whatever. And like, I do like the movie a lot. I thought that 49 is like easily like a 7 out of 10. It's just the as a whole and as it is as a Blade Runner sequel, I don't think it does a perfect job. If that makes sense. But yeah, so that was Blade Runner. I guess the other thing I really watched and I want to talk about is because this is Spooktober. That's right, I'm branding this. I think I'm stealing that name from when I googled it, it was like a fucking like some thing in Australia. So fuck you, it's mine now. But still, yeah, I want to kind of use this time to go through and watch Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, rewatch Halloween. Halloween's the one exception to this. I had seen that movie and it fucking fucked me up for weeks. And I watched the TV version, so I don't even know what's actually in that movie. But I've never seen anything to do with Friday the 13th. Never seen I've seen one scene of Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't even know. The big fan, the Alien or Aliens. Never seen either of those. I have no idea. You know, so stuff like that. I skipped out on a lot. You know, I think Aliens is close to an action movie, regardless. Totally skipped out on a whole bunch, and I want to kind of use this time to do that. And so I started with It Follows, which I've been wanting to watch since what I believe to be 2015, but Netflix says it came out in 2014, so I don't know, but whatever. Whenever that movie came out, I was on it when that movie came out. I was like, man, I want to see this, and I just somehow fucking missed it. So it's on Netflix, sat down, I watched it. It has a really fucking good beginning, and then it's just straight downhill. I don't feel like it follows its own logic near the end. I'll get into this one a little bit more intense than Blade Runner, just because like Blade Runner just came out and I'm a crazy person, see everything at the moment it comes out. So I'll get more into this. Movie's old as fuck, so I'll talk about this one a little bit more in depth. But so the whole premise of this whole thing is that there is a monster that will follow you at a walking speed, and if it gets you, you die. And then when you die, it goes back to the person that gave you the power, and you are given the power by fucking someone. So if the monster is following you, you have sex with someone, now the person you had sex with now gets transferred the power, or the monster, and if the monster kills them, it goes back to you, and do that infinitely, I guess. Now, this thing moves at a walking pace, and a couple of my problems with it are, I don't understand. So basically it can take any form. It can take any form. Generally things you would assume that would let it get close to you, right? That would make sense. So sure. So the movie is with this guy. She's the main girl. She's with this guy. They have sex for the first time. He then knocks her the fuck out, puts her in a wheelchair for some reason on like the top of a parking garage, and explains to her what's going on. He goes, "You now have this monster after you. This is how it works." The monster almost immediately is there. Like he is, like she's waking up. They do a cool thing with the camera at the end of the wheelchair. That's the one thing this movie does. The DP of this film, fucking, you're great. Keep it up. Doing fucking God's work. He had some great ideas. Was doing really cool stuff. I feel it's the writing that falls apart. So he explains this whole thing to her. Finds this monster immediately. This monster is walking around as a naked woman. I don't know. He can still see the monster, which is interesting. That's an interesting thing. Is once you are ever like enchanted with this monster's scent thing, whatever, you always can see it. So he's like looking for it. He finds it. It's a naked woman, and it walks up. Again, if it's supposed to take the form of stuff that lets you get it close, that seems weird for her, but maybe that's kind of implying something. I don't really think the movie thought about it that way. I kind of wish it did. I think it'd been kind of cool, because some of the things it turns into are like, they're there to be scary. But like, it needs to get you, so why would it look like a weird, creepy thing to scare you? Like, it should look like something that would let you get close, which it does kind of once later, but like, I don't know. And I feel like because it's a sex-driven monster, it should turn into something that, like, you are sexually attracted to and would want to be like, whoa, what's this? Like if a random naked woman was standing there, I might be stunned and be like, what is going on? And then it gets me. Like, that would make sense, you know? Like, so why would it do... All right, let me continue. So this monster shows up immediately, and then they run away, and it goes, they're gone. He throws her out of his car and is like, remember this? And, like, drives away. And everyone's like, oh, my God. So, like, they go throughout the movie, the thing, like, shows up, and again, it shows up as, like, an old woman, which is weird, and the thing I don't really understand, so she sees it from her classroom, and also, she's really dumb. She's, like, horror movie intelligent, where, like, she sees a thing walking, a weird thing, like, this woman is an old woman in, like a nightgown thing from, like, a hospital gown, and she's walking through a college, like, quad, and just walks straight to her, and because it walks straight at you from her classroom. And she just sits there and stares at it. Like, what could that be? I don't know. Maybe the fucking monster. It's so stupid. So it walks like straight at her, and then she gets up and leaves. Now, if it can't get to you, it'll smash a window. It'll do something to get straight to you. All right, makes sense. And it ends up in the hallway. She runs away, whatever. Again, I don't know why it's take the form of an old woman. That seems like a weird thing to make you just like want to get closer. I don't know. So then it like they do some of the things and she's like kind of scared. She's like, I don't know what to do. And then she gets to, it like breaks a window in her house and shows up in her house. It shows up as a drunk, what I assume is a drunk woman missing got her with her 2 front teeth knocked out, her bra hanging off, and peeing herself. Again, shouldn't this thing take the form of something appealing so that it can get close to you? Why show up as the grossest fucking thing possible in her home? Like, it can turn into anything. Why not turn into her mother and then just get her? I don't understand. But they go off and do some shit, and it's like they're fucking whatever. It shows up as a big spooky giant weird Frankenstein guy. Again, I don't know why you're trying to be scary. Shouldn't you? I don't know. But yeah, no one can see it. Her friends are like, I don't see it. So they're all like, she's just screaming and she kind of looks crazy or whatever. As she's running away, the cool kid from across the street wants to hang out with them. And so like, he is like, yeah, we'll drive you around. And he's out of the car, so he's going to drive around. They're going to try to go find the first kid. And like, they make a brief comment of like, won't your mom miss you? And he's like, yeah, she won't care. But what about the other 4 kids? Like, there's no one, like, when she gets up out of class to, like, run away from this monster, the teacher, she's in college, the teacher's like, what are you doing? In my entire time at college, no teacher cares. Like, they're like, it's fucking your grade, whatever. If you want to leave, fuck you, I guess. So that was weird. I don't know why this teacher would, like, care. It's not like they have to be there. And, like, all the other kids, they're like, yeah, whatever. We'll just disappear for, like, 3 days. Okay, I guess. I don't know, super weird. But, like, and the other thing, too, is she never has her head on a swivel. Like, there's so many times where, like, the camera's looking at her, and there's just, like, a person walking behind her. It's just a solo person walking. And, like, as an audience, you're like, oh, my God. But, like, not always is it the monster, sometimes it's just a person. But, like, she doesn't react to it till it's way too fucking late. And it's like, bitch, you're the only one here that can see this thing. Fucking be looking everywhere. Fucking high alert. What are you doing? It's super whack. I don't understand. I just didn't understand why she was like, so like, well, whatever. What happens after that? I forget. But like, they start doing some stuff. No, they get to like this like beach house they're in Detroit, so I'm guessing somewhere in Lake Michigan. And again, she's just fucking chilling with her back to the road. Now, granted, we don't really know what this thing can do at this point. Like, so maybe it didn't ever come through the woods. It just comes down the street. But like, it comes down the street and almost tries to kill her. But her back is turned towards the one place they kind of know it could come from. It's super weird. Again, actually, another thing I forgot. She constantly, so before they get in the car, she runs into her room, locks the door. This thing can't get in from a locked door. And then she escapes out her back window. Remember that. So, she constantly is running in. So she runs into the shed. The one thing the guy said when they were in the parking garage was, don't go anywhere where there's only one exit. Okay. So running into your bedroom, thank God you have a fucking porch in your room so you can jump out a window. Like, what do you, like, not really a window. She like has a porch, and then she can like jump off that onto some other ledge and then get out. But like, what are you doing? And then she runs into this shed, which kind of has a big like shed door. But like, what are you doing? Stop running into buildings. Like, what are you doing? It can only walk. What are you doing? Like, you're only getting yourself in more trouble. So like, but like, it does the thing again where like it breaks the hole in the thing. It fucking hits one of the kids, so like they know it's real now because like grabs her hair and they only see floating hair. The one kid hits it with a chair and the chair goes flying and breaks and it blows a hole in the door that they're in, which I didn't know it could do, but apparently it has the strength to like actually damage property to get to you. This is the first time we're seeing this besides the broken glass, but like it blows through a door. So what the fuck is the point of her locking her door? Why is it just chill there? I don't know. So like, but it turns into like this weird like little demon baby thing. Like child thing, I don't know. But like, again, why are you being scary? You want to get this thing, get this girl. So why are you being creepy? I don't know. And when she runs out of the shed, she runs in the direction that it is. So this thing like comes in, like I forget if it actually makes it into the barn shed thing they're in, but it runs past her. She runs past where it was, which seems weird, but whatever. And then she gets in like a car accident as she's trying to escape. Again, this thing is walking. So as soon as she gets in the car and drives like 15 feet, let your friends in the car and let them take care of driving, or you drive. Like, stop being so panicked. It walks. But while she's injured, so she's injured in this hospital, I'm assuming, let's assume it's back in Detroit. So that she's a couple hours away by car when she crashes this car, and she's back in Detroit with her parent or mom. Actually, that's one cool thing again. I lead this more towards the DP. The mother's face is like almost always obscured. I think the only times we see it clearly are in pictures that are like on the wall and on like in in frames and stuff. So that was pretty cool. But like, she's just unconscious in this room that she cannot escape from, and this thing never gets her. So it just kind of disappears for a bit. She fucks the Greg kid, who's the cool kid from across the street. She fucks Greg. So at this point, the movie really starts getting confusing. So there's a lot of it where it's more like, it's kind of just becoming like, why do you keep running into corners? Why do you keep cornering yourself? And why does this thing keep turning into creepy things? Like, those are my only two questions up to this point, really. Now she has sex with Greg. The monster's now transferred to him. So first off, she's in this hospital. She cannot escape. I don't understand how many days this thing takes to get to her, but sure, whatever. She has sex with Greg. Sure, the thing's not there yet. I guess we have to assume that the monster was close when she had sex with the first guy to get the monster there, because in a matter of hours, before the night was up, it literally almost got her. Like, it got really close. So it's not like it resets and teleports to a nearby location. It just kind of changes targeting and walks. So, sure, it was a couple miles away, I guess. We can assume that it takes it a little while to get to him. He doesn't believe her. He missed the whole fight at the beach. Like, he didn't really understand what was happening. So, he doesn't believe her. So, he doesn't really take it seriously. Fine. She is in the hospital, gets out of the hospital, back to her house. This thing has still not shown up for like 3 days. I mean, they were not gone to this other place for 3 days and it showed up in time, but whatever. She then sees like it being like looking like Greg and like walking the street, breaking a window, climbing in, and then going to his house. So she goes after it, whatever. And it takes the form of his mother, which makes sense, right? It wants to take the form of something that would let it in. So you let it in, so it's banging on his bedroom door. She goes, "Don't open the door." He opens the door, he goes, "Mom, what the fuck?" The mom then charges him and fucks him to death. That's right, this thing kills you by fucking you to death. Don't ask how, it just kind of dry humps him, and then his face turns like vampire white, and then he dies. We see one death in the beginning of the movie, which that's got the best camera work on that. The very beginning is like, it's a single shot of this girl kind of like running around her block. Very well done. But when she dies, her like knee is like bent the other way, like torn that way, and like she's dead. So I guess it fucked her and then used her leg. I don't know. She's also in heels, which is a weird thing, but I digress. But yeah, so he gets fucked to death. That's the first time we see this thing actually kill someone. Super weird. Super weird that it took the form of his mother to then fuck him to death. That was strange. And then yeah, so he dies. And then it's transferred back to her. At this point, I don't remember exactly if it took another form. I think maybe she just runs around for a bit. I don't remember. Something happens. Oh, she drives away. Yeah, so she drives away, falls asleep on the hood of her car, I guess. Sure, you can escape in more directions that way, I guess. As soon as she wakes up, she does not look behind her, which generally, that's where this monster would be. Goes down into the woods, is on a beach, sees 3 dudes in a boat, starts taking her clothes off and swims towards the boat, and then we cut to the next scene. I assume she fucked them. That was not the case. At all. That scene had nothing to do with anything. I don't understand. But it happened. I really have no idea why it was there. I never acknowledge it. It was just kind of there. It didn't really play in anyway. So who knows? She was just wanting to go on a boat ride, I guess. Like, I kind of assume, because the next scene they're in the school gym, or whatever. They're at the pool. They just call it the pool. And they set up a bunch of things around the pool, like electrify the pool, and they want to get the monster in the pool, but the monster won't go into the water. So, like, I can kind of infer that, like, she learned it doesn't like water by chilling in a boat with some dudes and just saw it, like, stand by the water, the edge of the water. I don't know. Because it eventually gets in the water, and it doesn't fucking matter. So, I don't really know I still can't really tell what the point of that boat scene was. But yeah, so they're in this pool, and they're, like, trying to get it to get into the water, and it's, like, walking around the pool. And for some reason, it shows up and they go, what's it look like? And she goes, I don't want to tell you. I don't really understand why. And it's only till like the scene afterwards, I think it was her dad. But again, the parents are never really shown. They're just shown in like frames. So I don't really know if that was the same dude. So I'm not really sure. But again, it took a form of something that she'd want to get close. So sure. Actually, I left that apart. So as they're leaving to go to the pool, they're pulling the car out of the driveway and she looks at the roof and it's standing on the roof. Now, if this thing can attack you vertically, why the fuck, to go into someone's, like, kill you in your bedroom, does it waste its time breaking a window, going up the stairs, and knocking on your door? Why not just climb up her back fucking, and the path she takes to escape, use that, get into her room, and murder her? Or, what is it, if it can climb vertically, what is it doing just, walking and shit? It can climb. It wasn't, in her room looking out, on the top floor. It was on the roof as some weird naked dude, which, again, I don't really understand why it takes these weird forms, but whatever. It was just on the roof. So it can attack vertically now. What are you doing? What does this thing do? What is this thing's rules? I don't understand. I for a while, I thought it literally just attacked, laterally. It was just, on a grid. It was just, I attack straight. And if there's a window or a wall in the way, I might go around, or I might break the window and get to you. But I'm going to get to you. But apparently that's not the case anymore. It can just climb. I don't understand. The point of it being on the roof is to be oh, spooky. But what is it in world? What does that mean now? So it can climb? Why? If it can climb, when they were on the second or third floor of this parking garage, why did it take the stairs? It could have gone straight at her. I don't understand. It wasn't there was a hill. They were the parking garage was the part they were on, there was a hill that led to where they were. Ish. I think you had to, you take the hill and then you could, you might have to take a stairs there or whatever, but what is it? I don't understand what this thing can do. It's not you can just walk to get on a roof. That roof, you had to climb, use your arms. So it can now do that. That's now a feature it has. We saw it climb through a window to kill Greg. So it breaks the glass and climbs through a window. It's not like it breaks a big window and just steps over. It it broke a smaller window and had to lean over and then fall through the window. So it can climb. And now we know it can go to roofs. I don't understand. Apparently it can do this. I don't know why it just, and that's the other thing too, is okay, so it doesn't attack laterally. And it won't just walk straight towards you. And will change paths and do whatever it can to get to you. Because the one thing he said, he goes, it's slow, but it's not dumb. So we'll do things to get to you. Why was it when she locked her door? One, he didn't break it because it could clearly break doors, whatever. So why didn't it even try to do it? It just knocked on the door a bunch. And then why didn't it turn around and go through the fucking window? Does it have to? Is it when it starts homing, is it I do this one thing and I do this one thing only and you have to what is the rule? And if it was at her door and she went out the side, the window, does it change course or does it just keep charging at this door? Or maybe does it charge the wall now that she's does it always home in on her? Is it always just got to move on this grid system? Does it, can it climb? What is its rules? I don't understand. It's like at this point, the rules are just not clear. It's like things are just features of this monster's power set are being added that don't help explain what this thing can do. And it's super weird, super frustrating. And like, why would it be like on the roof? Like what practical purpose was it to be climbing onto a roof to then be like scare her? Like the only purpose of it being up there was to be menacing when they drove away. Like it's not like any practical, like that was a practical path for him to take to kill her while they were at the house. So it was just kind of chilling up there, like watching. Like it's super weird. Like that's the word, like one of the weirder parts about it. It's like, what is it? Like what was its plan that led it to be on the roof, and now it's paused because they're moving, so now it's got to like readjust. So like it was doing something up there. Like it's super weird. And then, so then they get into the pool and they do something. I think they shoot in the head and it falls in the pool, but it's still alive and it can swim now. It can swim. So okay. And then they finally put another bullet in its head and it dies. Or dies. There's a bunch of blood and whatever. And then she has sex with Paul, the kid who was like kind of implying like they always were supposed to be together or whatever. And then Paul, being a goddamn genius, immediately drives into the fucking like bad part of town in Detroit and starts fucking prostitutes. Fucking good for you. Move that shit along. Like, if it takes super long, like this other thing too though, is that we don't understand its reset pattern. So if you killed it, is it stunned? Is it dead? Does it come back? When it comes back, where does it come back at? And then say you didn't kill it, you just stunned it. Okay, does it start walking towards Paul now that they've had sex? And then he has sex, but what if that's too close to where the prostitutes were? Like, it's so, like, the rules of how it actually, like, picks your target, it is left vague in the beginning to be scary, but once the movie started going and you started, bringing in other aspects, I would like some answers to understand how this stupid monster works. So, I don't really understand. And then the movie ends with them, like, walking down the street, and there's a person kind of walking fast. This thing had, like, a very, very consistent walk speed, and so this thing is walking kind of fast, so it's supposed to be, like, almost like an Inception thing. We're like, is it or is it not? And then the movie ends. But yeah, it was just like really dumb. Like I feel like the writing like really falls apart in the second half. And I didn't really understand why it did that. It was just kind of like things are happening and you're like, I guess, I don't know. Like, why are you adding details and why are you doing things that are weird? I don't know. It was not as good as I had hoped. But cinematography was really good. The DP did a great job. A lot of really cool shots and cool things that he was doing. It was a very interesting little tidbit of film. I guess the last thing that I watched is I buckled. I don't remember if I preached on this show of my disdain of the Rick and Morty community and the meme culture that is sprouted up around it. Not a fan. Don't enjoy that shit. It bothers me. But I was feeling it. Became my idea as opposed to someone telling me, you have to watch this, you don't watch the show, because that's always the worst. When someone kind of like, I don't know, maybe I do it, but it's annoying for me when I hear it, where it's like, you gotta do this, like, I'll take care of it. But, yeah, I don't know, like, so I sat down and watched, I like binged the entire first season, which I had seen. So I'd seen the whole first season, and then I'd seen the first episode of the second season, and like, that's all I'd seen. It's also kind of added to me not watching it, because I like could remember what happened in the first season, but like if I'm gonna rewatch the show, like I'm gonna watch all of it. So like I had to find like a time where I was like, all right, cool, I can just kind of waste time watching a thing a second time. So that kind of caused some of the delay too. So I'd watched the entirety of the first season in like one sitting. I was like, this is fun. And like the first few episodes are okay, like they're whatever. And the first time I like really laughed was on the Christmas episode. There is a part where Jerry's parents show up with like a guy, and then he's like, they're trying to explain the relationship with the guy, and it's like, oh no, your mother has sex with him. And I watch, sometimes in a chair, sometimes from a closet, but almost always dressed as Superman. And that fucking line is so goddamn funny. I lost my shit at that one part. It was so good, and the delivery is so good, and the fact that it's not the end of a scene, like this is such a great structured joke. Those three comments, sometimes in a chair, sometimes in a closet, almost always dressed as Superman. Those three pieces together, not being like the end of a scene, the end of to a commercial, but immediately leading into more dialogue, and we see Jerry's reaction and other things are happening and more conversation happens, I feel actually like added to the joke. it didn't make it feel like a joke. It made it feel like a really funny comment by a person. And like, it was just a really nice flow from there. And then since then, like after that episode, there was always a really good joke in every episode. Another one I really fucking love, which might be my favorite joke in any television, was for the party episode, the end of season 1. They're panning around the room, and you have like random party chatter in a lot of like typical shows and movies and stuff, and they just pan over to the one girl, and she goes, "I really just like bukkake. I don't know if I ever do it, but like," and just like they move on from the conversation. Fucking hilarious. Oh, it was so good to just have this random bukkake comment, and then just going on from there. It was so funny. Oh my god. Yeah, that was just, I had a good time with that one. And then so the first season ended, and I watched the first episode of the second season. I was like, all right, cool. I've now seen everything that I had previously watched. Now it's all fresh to me. And what happened? I'm trying to think. What was the episode after that? I don't even remember. I remember the third one was, what is that called? The one with the hive mind, which ended with like Rick trying to kill himself, which was like super dark. And I was not expecting that. And I was like, whoa. So that one was okay. And then the one where Rick makes like little universes was like okay. There's a couple okay parts in that one. The one with the giant heads was terrible. And I saw memes of that one forever. The Get Swifty thing. I was like, I don't understand. Like, who cares? Like, none of this is funny. But then they have the episode with the parasites, which is probably the best episode of that entire show. They have the parasites show up, and the parasites are they will like create another person and then add memories into your mind so that you think something different, so that you think that they're part of your family or whatever. And like the things they were adding, like they had these crazy people like Reverse Giraffe and like other stuff like that, was so funny. And then the one character that gets added in the episode, whose name I'm not going to say because his name was never said throughout. I've seen tons of merchandise for this character. He's the little like yellow tube guy, and so I never heard his name, but I've seen merchandise for him. I've seen pictures of him all the time. He seems to be really popular. And then someone just says his name. I was like, what? That is his actual name? And then like what actually goes throughout the episode, like as they're shooting off people, killing people, and they realize like how to tell the parasites apart from the real people. And then like just the whole, oh god, it was so funny. That episode was so good. Oh my god. And like the whole side plot with Jerry and Sleepy Gary. Oh my god. What a great episode. Oh, so good. Such a good episode. And it's just, oh god. It's a really fun. I'm really enjoying parts of it. I don't think it's all perfect. You know, like the Get Swifty episode was really bad. I just don't care. Like I was like, what the fuck? The show, I don't care. But I didn't care about the A plot or the B plot with the weird religion thing. And then Ice-T showing up, which, sure, I guess. Like, the one thing that was kind of fun with the Ice-T thing was, like, when they were bringing him in, they're like, we're doomed. Like, that was kind of funny. I'm like, all right, cool. But, like, the whole, like, I'm from an alien species where it's everything's a fucking element plus fucking letter, and then they shows up, and, oh, my son, I'll turn you back to... It's so stupid. It was so dumb. It was so fucking stupid. Water tea. Like, fuck you. This is not fun. It was just not. And then the whole song was dumb, and the fucking giant floating heads, and who cares? It's all dumb. No one cares. Fucking stupid. But some of the episodes, man, they fucking laid me out. I thought they were so fucking funny. Like when that show is funny, that show is hilarious. And then when it's bad, it's like, all right, whatever. Like that's the one thing is like when the show is bad, it's because it's not living up to the amazing like precedent it has set in the great episodes. And so that's been kind of how this goes. I was talking to Mike, and he was saying that season 3 might not be that great, and like I've seen a lot of like memes come out of season 3, but like I don't know, we'll see if that's actually, because like so far every time I've seen like any image besides the one character from the Parasite episode, anytime I've seen anything, like I've recognized anything from like just being a person in pop culture, has not been funny. So, and like the jokes aren't even spoiled for me. Just like the thing that people are attaching themselves to, I don't think of that funny. But I think that when this show's good, like when fucking bukkake just randomly pops up, oh man, hilarious, fucking kills me every time. I've been kind of going on for a while. I talked a lot about Blade Runner, which apparently I care a lot more about Blade Runner than I actually thought I did. The only thing I'm going to talk about now is I started and didn't even come close to beating because I'm fucking bad, is Cuphead. I got Cuphead. I really like that aesthetic a lot. I don't know if it's clear, but I really seem to like 30s media like a lot. So I really, really like Cuphead. I thought it was so fucking, like, the aesthetic has been so fucking cool. I really like the character designs. Just everything about it, fucking super fucking cool. Super cool. Like, right down to the popping of the projector, like the film that like they have over everything, the shitty like record sound effects. Like, it's so good. It's just so accurate. It feels so good. And that game is fucking brutal hard. That game is fuck your shit up hard. Oh my god. And now, to be fair, I have no platforming chops at all. Like, I have been avoiding that genre since I started playing video games. I just don't really understand, like, platformers. I don't really enjoy, like, even, like, action platformers like a Contra or a Metroid or something like that. I've only played a little bit of the first Metroid. I just don't care for that genre. It doesn't really click with me. It doesn't really matter to me. I just don't care. I've never really found, like, incredible enjoyment out of Mario. Like, when I got my first video game console, I had Super Mario Brothers Deluxe for Game Boy Color, and I had Pokemon Red. Guess which game sat in my Game Boy every single day? It was Pokemon Red. I literally played that, like, every day, all the time, forever. And that, like, really, really guided my course of who I was going to be and what I was going to focus on more. And, you know, that's the RPGs and stuff like that. But I have leaned into stuff that are not I love playing a first-person shooter. I love playing a fighting game. And these things that require incredible execution, real intense, like, study and practice, and, like, fiddling with settings, like on fucking Counter-Strike. I'm changing my sensitivity, like, by 0.01, trying to make it perfect, changing my fucking crosshair every little bit here and there, going, do I want this? Do I want this? I kind of like this. Hey, what about this? Fucking learning what frames do what in a Smash game or a Street Fighter, and be like, okay, this does this many frames to this, and they're gonna do this option, so I gotta learn this to that, and, like, I gotta make sure I can do this input right now, so I can safely do this thing, so that when if it gets blocked, I can then do this thing immediately out of it, and And I love that shit. And Cuphead has a lot of that shit. Cuphead has parries and, like, meter burn gain and stuff like that. Air dashes. So it does take a lot from, like, fighting games and very technical stuff. And the game is very technical. But it comes down to, like, so, like, the thing that it applies a lot in Smash, and I feel like it applies in most fighting games, but because Smash moves so much, I feel like it really fits here really well, is that when you're playing Smash, you watch your opponent, you do not watch you. So you should be practicing to basically second nature what you want to do, so you can just look at your opponent. So you're watching your opponent and you're seeing what they're about to do, and you're trying to guess what they're going to do, so that without looking, you can input what you need to do and counter what they're about to do. And so I'm kind of trying to do that when I'm playing Cuphead, but I'm just really bad. Like, I'm just so bad at fucking platformers and, like, doing jumping puzzles, like, really fast. I can't do that. Like, I'm stuck on the 2 frog bosses, and I keep getting to the 3rd phase, which is they turn into a slot machine, and one of the phases that they can do is they'll have, like, triple frog in their slot machine, and they'll spit out these platforms, and I'm just so bad at being able to land on platforms and, like, just, like, actually, like, air maneuver and stuff. Like, I'm just so bad at it, and, like, I'm trying to watch certain people and trying to figure out stuff, and, like, I'm just really bad. Like, I'm just not doing well. And, like, a couple things too is I don't understand some of the tells yet. So like, the first thing I did in that game was I played the first, like, level, like, the fucking platformer section, got my shit kicked in. I was just so not prepared for this platform, just, like, platforming and, like, trying to dodge enemies and stuff like that. I just was not prepared and warmed up in that sense. But it was a really good, like, training course. Is like, here's what you can parry. This is what, like, parrying works, is the timing, which I hit, like, every parry. So, like, that's what super works. Like, I can hit, like, every parry, but, like, I have no fucking clue how to, like, read my opponent or like move properly and stuff like that. But I can hit every fucking parry like perfectly. Which you would think would be the hard thing, but it's not. So like, it was really good practice. So I'm like, here's the parry timing. Here's how this works. Here's how you can do some air dashes quickly. You can do this, switch weapons, like everything you kind of need to do. It was a really good learning experience. And the first boss fight I did was basically a slime from Dragon Quest. He was like this little slime dude, and he was fucking my shit up. And I was like, Jesus, I can't beat the slime of this game. I'm fucked. I then eventually beat him. And then the next boss I fought, he was it was like 3 little like vegetables. I almost took them down in one try. I would have done it in one try if I knew that the homing super, which puts like a shield around you, is actually used more as you like throw your body at them. So like you have to like, you can do damage with the shield if it hits them. So like getting them to get hit by it and stuff is how you basically could do like a lot more damage. So when I got to the carrot phase, like I was using the homing to like just kill the carrots in air. And then if I had supered, I would have like this little aura and I could jump on like at the carrot and like do damage to him. So I just didn't realize that until the second time I played, like the second round. And I was like, oh, okay. So I 2-shot that one and then I got stuck on these frogs. And like, oh my God, it's just like I'm doing more prediction than I am playing because like it's just like it's a weird like mindset I have. I don't know what it is. Like I'm trying to predict more than I am to like react. I feel like that's just wrong because it's just not working out. Like he has like these like the one frog had like these Hadouken attacks and like there's like 4 heights and the second to highest height most of the time seemed to be pink. So I would try to parry it. But I wasn't like, so he would do like mid, down, second highest and then highest. And he would do this pattern every once in a while. So I'd see him shoot out a few and I'd be like, okay, the third one is going to be pink. And then pink third one, and then sometimes it was, but sometimes it wouldn't be, and so I would just jump and take damage from this like third fireball. I'm like, shit, I'm predicting as like I'm trying to react before the game even decides what the answer is. Like I'm pre-firing a corner that literally no one is there. Like I'm just trying something way too ahead of time. Like I'm trying to beat the game. I'm trying to be as optimal as possible by like mind reading the game. And it's really weird because like I play, like every time things like this are hard, I'm playing another human being, and sometimes you can condition humans to do stuff like that where you're like there were times I'd play Smash with people who weren't as experienced, and I did this mostly on with Snake. Actually in Project Demo I would do this a lot where I would just know, like I would watch you roll, so I would grab you and then down throw you, so he like puts you down like you sleep, and then I'd watch you roll. So I would do it like twice. I'd watch which way you roll, and so then there were times where I'd grab them, put them down, and I would just start running the direction they were going to roll, and they would do it. So like I would make the decision before they made the decision, and then they would make the decision. So I would down throw, and then I watch you roll right twice. I now run right before you even react to roll, and then you start rolling twice. You start rolling right, and I just turn around and grab you again and do it again. And I would just keep doing that stuff like over and over again. And it was like, it's really fun to do because you just feel really cool and like, I'm fucking smart. I did a thing that's smart. But like, you know, it doesn't work when you're playing a computer. You just actually need to react to them as opposed to try to predict what they're going to do. And so it's like a thing I got to get out of my head to try to beat this, like get further in this game. But the game is so beautifully aesthetic wise that like, I want to buy like merchandise. There's these Funkos that I learned recently are different than Funko Pops. They're 2 different companies. Like Pop is a brand. I didn't know that. Brand owned by Funko, but Funko produces their own shit too. And there are these Cuphead and Mugman and the Devil Funkos. And they look fucking great. They look exactly the character. They look so cool. I'm like, oh, I want this. But I have like a rule where I don't purchase merchandise for a thing until I finish it. Like, you know, I was super in love with Persona 5, but I didn't buy my Morgana plush or this Persona 5 poster, which I posted on Twitter if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, until I beat the game. Platinumed it, actually. So I had beaten it twice before. Actually, I bought the Morgana plush after the first time I beat it, and I bought the poster after the second time I beat it. But yeah, like I have like a rule where I try not to. The only time I broke that was for One Piece when I bought the flag, And then the Wanda posters I got as a gift, but I didn't even put those up until I had actually beaten the game, or not beaten, read everything up to current time. And it's only because I have done that before. I have actually predicted I would like something well in advance. Usually like wallpapers for like my computer. I'm like, I might like this series, and I haven't read or watched this yet or played this game yet, but I like the way this background looks, so I'm going to download this now, and then when I get to it, I then go, oh yeah, I love this thing, and this is the dope ass wallpaper, and I put that up. So I predicted stuff I've liked before, but I've also seen stuff that I do like, and then I just don't buy, and then it's gone forever. Like the I really want an Oblivion and a Oathkeeper Keyblade keychain, which I've seen before. And they do kind of exist, and you can get them online and stuff, but I saw them in stores before, and I was like, damn, those are really cool, but I don't need them right now. But now I'm like super into getting keychains. I have like a fuckload of keychains on my car key, and I'm like, fuck, I really wish I had that, because you can't, like, I like both those Keyblades, and you can't just get one, because like they're one and the same. Or like a Kingdom Key one. Like, I would get that too, but I also don't see those in stores. The only one I see is the Way to Dawn, Riku's Keyblade, or the Star Seeker, which is a gross-looking Keyblade, which I'm not about. So, like, I'm like, fuck, like, if I just bought the ones I saw them, like, I would have had these already. So, the One Piece flag, I was like, I want a flag, because I really love the concept of, like, having, like, a fictional flag, but I never had one. Like, my one friend was decorating his room, and I was like, you gotta get a fictional flag, they're fucking dope, but I never had one for myself. I just really like the concept, and he got a Rebel flag, a Rebel Alliance. I'm like, that's such a dope fucking thing, because it looks like a flag, but then if you know what it is, like, oh, it's cool. And like, I wanted the fucking Straw Hat flag, so I went out and got that ahead of time, just in case it didn't happen, because weirdly enough, well, one, I know there are problems with like just One Piece getting translators. I forget, there's something going on with shit with One Piece from some fucking, I forget what it was, but like, it's also not that popular over here, which is weird. Like, every time I go into a store, like, I'll go to FYE just to kind of get the pulse of what the current anime is right now and like what people give a shit about. And like, it's been like Tokyo Ghoul, Sword Art Online. It was Fairy Tail. That is completely stopped. I know it ended, and that might be why, but like, even when stuff ends, sometimes it like there's Cowboy Bebop stuff in FYE, and that's been done forever. So it's like weird that like sometimes things keep their ground. But Best Guy Ever was saying that Fairy Tail's fucking garbage. So maybe it like really fell off, and people were like, I don't want anything to do with Fairy Tail. But because I was just thinking, because New York Comic Con's this weekend, and the last time I went, which was like 2 years ago, Fairy Tail was everywhere. Everywhere. It was Fairy Tail and One Piece. Fucking everywhere. There were people with Fairy Tail tattoos. Everyone was like, so many Fairy Tail t-shirts. It was the first time I'd seen Fairy Tail and understood what it was. I kept seeing the logo. I was like, all right, what is this? And then I was like walking through a booth. Like, there were probably like 5 of the large booths that just had Fairy Tail figures. Like, a Square Enix booth just had Fairy Tail stuff. Like, it was just everywhere. It was huge. It was like 2 years ago. I was like, well, this is just everywhere. But like, I never really even paid attention to it. But Fairy Tail used to be everywhere in FY8 too, and it's just gone now. But Tokyo Ghoul, everywhere. One Punch Man also actually gone down, and I think that's because the season ended. Similar to how like Attack on Titan was the fucking bee's knees when it first came out, like 3 years ago. Was it 3 years ago? 4 years ago? And then it just disappeared, and then like now it's like kind of got like a simmering, but like it's not the fever pitch it was back when it first aired, because it just took too long. So like, I think when things are going these huge breaks, people are like they just lose their interest, so there's less merchandise for it. Like Hot Topic used to have a Straw Hat Crew t-shirt, and I actually almost did the predicting thing for that. Went to Hot Topic, I was looking at the shirt, and I was like, man, if I really liked One Piece, this would be a dope ass shirt to have. And I didn't buy it. I feel a lot of regret. And actually, I went to a convention around here, up in upstate New York, and I had looked at One Piece shirt, and it was like current Luffy with like the big scar on the chest, and he was like in a fighting pose. I was like, that's a dope shirt. But I wasn't at the time skip in One Piece, so I didn't even feel like I could wear that. Mostly because mostly that rule comes from, I don't want to have something, and like it's weird when it comes to like merchandise or something just in my room and like only I would see it. Like I love like the aesthetic and the look of Shovel Knight, but I've never beaten it because I'm fucking terrible at platformers. Again, I'm really bad at that game. I've never beaten it, so I don't purchase anything with Shovel Knight. So like I don't have any, but like it would only apply to me in my room. But like it'd be like a badge of shame if I like walked in my room every day and I was like, fuck Shovel Knight. Yeah, so it's like I I could buy like the Cuphead Funkos, but it's like I don't want to. I want to beat this game. I want to earn them like that, and that's what makes these like the plushes I have or the figures I have or fucking these posters or the fly or whatever. The fly, whatever. When you get these things after you catch up or finish the series or you finish the whatever, it makes it feel that much more worth it. 'Cause you're like, I earned this. I put the work in. I got this thing done. I just enjoy that whole process of like getting all that shit together. All right, so I've talked for like an hour and a half because I'm a crazy person. So I'm going to end this one. Apologies on it being so late. I wanted this one to like be recorded like right now so I could see all of like Blade Runner and then watch like a horror movie. And I'm gonna try to watch one like for each of these for the month of October. There will be one like really, really soon. I am in the middle of talking with a guest to come on, so there might be like 2 in the next like 3 days, coming out like right away. So I guess consider that my apology for that not there being like such a long gap between 22 and 23. That won't be a bonus episode. That'll literally just be another one. Just that's gonna be out like wicked soon. I see no reason to hold it. But yeah, I'm gonna try to watch some horror stuff and record. Probably the next one's gonna be Friday the 13th, just because that actual day is coming up so soon. So, just for the sake of like thematics, I might just watch Friday the 13th next. I do want to watch like the main like slasher movies and maybe just the core ones. Maybe go crazy because I know some of those Friday. There's like I think 11 Friday the 13th, 10 Friday the 13th, and they're all crazy. They're just weird, crazy movies. And whatever. So it's kind of fun that Friday the 13th falls in October, Spooktober, and I might just do that. But I want to do all of those. So I will throughout the month, I'll bring those in. If I watch anything between now and the upload of the next episode, it'll probably be in the intro, just to talk about that in there. But we'll see. Just because this one, we were talking about it last week, and that's kind of also why things got pushed. Is because like I really wanted to I thought I was gonna have someone come in, but no one did, and like I just didn't hear from anyone. And then it popped up now, so it'll just be 2 right on top of each other. So apologies for the delay, but here's a big fat twofer. Well, I can't say twofer because these aren't gonna come out at the same time. This one's gonna come out soon. Like this one's gonna come out before the other one, but they'll be out real soon together. Like it'll be a couple days apart, but they'll be out like on top of each other. So, all right. Well, with that, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. Apparently, I care a lot more about Blade Runner than I thought. Because I talked forever about it, like forever. But with that, thank you. Have a nice time. Go see Blade Runner. Tell me what you think. Should I watch Neo Yokio? Tell me about that. Should I do that and do a review on Neo Yokio? I don't want to, but I'll do it for the people. If the people want it, the people will get it. You know how to reach me. And with that, love and kisses.